Hi everyone, my name is Erin Elizabeth Wamberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you are new here. Today we have a full moon in Sagittarius, so today's tarot card reading will be picking the cards in that way. It's going to be about letting things go, cycles you can close, things you can release, all that wonderful goodness we get from full moons. So I have three groups for you today, group 1, group 2, and group 3. You can pick by the card you can see, by the number, anything that resonates. And when you're ready, all the timestamps are below, and I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 1. So as a reminder, this is a full moon reading, so I will be reading the cards in that way in terms of, releasing, letting things go, all our wonderful full moon energy. Okay, so you all picked the card. All that I need is coming to me in ways that I could never have imagined. Okay, so that's a really beautiful affirmation. And it's just a reminder that, there's so many things in life that we think, well, this is what I want, and this is how it's going to unfold, and this is, the exact way it's going to happen, and blah, blah, blah. We have this whole story in our head of how we've controlled every single little detail of everything. And then when that doesn't happen, we get like upset and shocked and heartbroken, and God doesn't love me, and God doesn't care about me, and, all of this. But this is a reminder that, when we want something, we have to look at our attachments, or when we want something, or when we feel drawn to something, or, like, oh, this thing is, this thing would be great for me. We really have to think about, the unfolding, the timing, all of these things, that it's not just about us, right? It's about all these other factors. It's about making sure all these other things are lined up. It's about making sure so many things come together at the right time and in divine timing and in divine intervention, that we can get so caught up in our story of how we need it to be that we forget that all these other things have to be going on as well. And sometimes, when we don't get things right away, or things take a little bit longer, it's a little bit of a different route, or things go maybe the way we didn't want them to go. Okay, sometimes we have to remember that, all that we need, look at this card, says all that I need, not all that I want. Okay, so sometimes we don't know what's best for us. God does. God knows better than we do. And also just a reminder that, like, not now doesn't mean never. Like, God's delay is not God's denial. And also sometimes we can get so attached to a story that something so much better could be coming for us, and we don't even know. So I think with this full moon, you can really say, like, what ways have I attached my worth to this particular thing? What ways have I decided, it has to be my exact way and my exact thing and my exact this, instead of letting go and letting God, right? So really just thinking about, what are the ways that I've limited my own thinking, or like, it has to come in this exact way, or this exact form, or this exact time, or this exact whatever, when it's like in ways that I could never have imagined. So just look back and think, how many things perfectly came together eventually for you in your life. And, God made a way that time, and God will make a way this time. And just remembering that it's not our own limited human mind of how things happen. It's all these other things going on that all work together to bring us our highest good. And so just remembering that, you aren't forgotten about, you are taken care of, you will be, there's things written for you that you can't miss, or you can't dodge, or you can't whatever, no matter how hard you really, how hard you want to believe that's what's happening, if it's not happening in the time you want, or whatever, any and all of that. So good reminder. So maybe, if this affirmation resonates for you, you can just write it at the top of your journal, and then you can free write, like, these are some things I can let go of, that are keeping me stuck in this limiting belief that, God forgot about me. God doesn't care about me. I'm never going to get what I want. This is never going to happen, blah, blah, blah. Or just even remembering, like, it could be something that you don't even know, it's not even on your radar. It could be something coming in that you don't even know is for your highest good, but you just think it had to be this one exact thing, when sometimes it doesn't have to be like that. Okay, we're gonna look at your tarot, then we'll do your oracle cards like usual. So we have 4 of Wands, 3 of Pentacles, 8 of Wands, 2 of Cups, the Fool, and 3 of Wands to close your reading. So a lot of Wands energy going on here. So maybe you're a fire sign. Not, don't worry about it. But Wands does represent fire. So I feel like, what do I feel like? I feel like, okay, so this 4 of Wands into 3 of Pentacles. I feel like 4 of Wands, you had this idea of, like, this is what I'm going to create. This is what I'm going to do. This is like my vision for the next layer of my life. This is, you know, this is usually the gateway card of like getting to that next layer. Can be a romantic relationship, can be a job, it can be a move, it can be, I mean, anything that resonates for you of how you want to get to that. Like, this is what I'm ready to do. This is what's going to happen. This is my vision, all of that. And then, you know, this Three of Pentacles is about putting in the work with other people. You say, I'm very willing to, you know, do the work. I'm very willing to accept help from other people. I'm very willing to do my part along the way with all of these things. And, you know, just this, here's my plan and here's what's going to happen and here's what we're going to do. And even building on that, we have the Eight of Wands, which is like taking action. It's about things moving, things going forward. Be like, I'm ready to make this happen. This is how it's going to go. This is the exact thing that's going to happen. This is, you know, all of that. I'm hearing all of these stories going on at once of like, this is my plan. This is what's going to, you know, I just see a lot of like the train chugging along, you know, like, this is what I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to make it happen. This is my plan. This is my this is my that. This is my everything. Here we go. Here's my perfect plan all laid out on the cards. And, you know, this thing happened in my past. And so this thing is going to happen now. And this is exactly the way it's going to be. And then it wasn't like that. Okay. So I don't take it how it resonates, whatever that is for you. But because after all that, we have this stall. We have a stall right in the middle, right after those three cards of momentum and those three cards of willingness and those three cards of ready to make it happen. We have this Two of Cups. So when I do individual readings, like just for one person, Two of Cups to me represents like meeting yourself. It's about meeting the self that you've neglected, meeting the self that you have abandoned, meeting the self that you tried to like, you know, push away and leave behind as you move forward in your life. And so I think with this card, when we opened with like this card about a little bit of, it feels like delay energy to me. So it feels like, you know, you've been waiting for something to happen and it just hasn't happened yet. I feel like all of this wasn't able to come to fruition, or, you know, it looks beautiful on paper or whatever, but, you know, it's like God laughs when we make plans, because there's part of you that you need to, I just love this card, the beautiful, you know, touch the hands and reconnect with each other. Part of you needs to meet part of you that you've pushed away. You have to deal with all of your stuff anyway. You have to deal with all of your limiting beliefs eventually. You have to do with your shadow stuff eventually. You can't just keep moving and moving and moving and never deal with it and expect to find peace and harmony in your life. You just can't. Okay. So this card is really about, you know, meeting the part of you that you have pushed away, or just, you know, and this is also a card, like there's no movement, right? These people are just standing there, reaching hands out to each other, you know, just this Cups. The Cups is also the suit of emotions. So these two cards are really about just like pausing and calling all parts of yourself back. So if you've tried to push forward with this plan and you haven't dealt with, you know, with this plan, and you haven't dealt with a part of you that you've rejected or pushed away, or you haven't, you know, felt is like, you know, you haven't given the proper space to hold, to reintegrate, to honor within yourself, that's what's coming up very much right now for this. Okay. That's your big message. Group one is just like, you can try to push this stuff away all you want, but it's going to be there for you to deal with eventually. So you might as well deal with it now. Okay. So this is, again, like, what part of you have you rejected? What part of you do you feel like isn't worthy of your love and care? What part of you did you have to put on the back burner while you were moving forward with your life? You know, there's parts of us we try to ignore because we don't want to look at our wounding or things that didn't feel the best, or, you know, all of that. And so this card is really about looking at, how can I integrate that? How can I give myself some love and compassion? How can I honor every part of me, including this part that maybe I don't really want to look at, you know, it doesn't feel the best for me to look at. Because once you do that, we have the Fool, which is like, I love the Fool. We all need to act like a fool sometimes. So this is energy about like moving forward in terms of, you know, just taking the leap of faith and moving forward and trusting it. And like, you know, I'm hearing like abandon this rigid, it has to be this exact way or else I'll never do it. This card is really about, you know, just taking the leap of faith off the edge of the cliff, even if you don't know what's going to be there, and just trusting that like the things that you have to deal with right now, if you don't deal with them now internally, if you don't do your work internally, you're going to have to deal with it eventually. So it's either deal with it now or deal with it, you know, in a year, 5 years, 10 years, whatever, when your body like full force demands makes you to deal with it. So this is about trusting the reroute, trusting things happening in a way that maybe, you know, you didn't want them to happen, or you didn't think it was going to happen, or you didn't whatever. So this card is really about like continuing to move forward, even if it doesn't feel like the easiest thing to do, or trusting, like if you were really attached to this plan of it has to be this exact way, this card is really about trusting the reroute, trusting going a different way, trusting like, again, this way that maybe you wouldn't have chosen for yourself to let things unfold, but knowing that again, this actually is, having faith that if, God's will for us will take us somewhere that like, and we don't leave God's grace, we don't leave this path, we don't leave a lot of these things, that we can really honor along the way. So this isn't punishment. This isn't like, abandoning your dreams. It could just be, a little reroute, or you have to learn a lesson, or you have to heal something within yourself before you move forward. So this is permission to move forward. This is permission to keep going. This is permission to really like honor that. Because the closing your reading, we have the Three of Wands. So this is really about, to me, I feel like it's about, again, being thoughtful, being contemplative, being present. Sometimes we can get so obsessed with like the vision we have, or it has to be my way, or it has to be this, that we forget to check in with like God's will for us. We forget to check in with like, wow, does this even feel good or resonant or right for me? Or am I just like chugging along the path and I didn't even check in to see if this was something that felt good or not? So this Three of Wands is really, about reflective energy. It's about taking time for yourself. It's about, as you take each step, just being like, okay, is this thing still work for me? Does this still feel good for me? Is this still, whatever? And not, not downplaying the time you need and the space you need to be able to do that. This is about being reflective. It's about taking a pause and just really, again, as you're taking this time to check in with yourself, to reconnect with yourself, just remembering that and trusting that instead of, forcing yourself to move forward. So with this full moon, you can kind of ask for permission from yourself to say like, okay, can I let go? Can I, what can I let go of? What stories am I attached to that I don't need to carry anymore? What can I be reflective about? What am I attaching, my heart to that maybe I have no business attaching my heart to? What can I let go of? What can I release so I can allow these other things and these things that are meant for me to come in? And again, in ways that you couldn't even imagine. So a lot of letting go, group one. That's what I'm hearing for you guys. Oh. Okay, so we're talking about this. So we have the cosmic heart, devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. So this is just what I was talking about in terms of like letting go and letting God's will come through for you. Making your life a moving prayer means like being reflective, means accepting divine intervention, means accepting these reroutes that happen for us instead of like pushing and pushing and pushing against them to the point that you miss things that are for you because you're so focused on, it has to be my way or the highway, or this is the only way I'm moving forward, or this is the only way I'm going to do it, right? So this card is really about trusting, things that are placed in your heart are there for a reason, and knowing that you are also connected to this like divine intelligence and this divine way of existing. And part of that does include, making your life a moving prayer includes hearing God's reroutes for us and hearing God's guidance for us, even if we don't like it, we don't want to accept it, we wish it was different, so how can you continue to do that? And again, trust in moving forward with that energy, even again, if it's not like what you thought it was going to be like or the way you thought it was going to be like. Because then we also have take action. So again, I know this card was just talking about, I know I just talked about how you were ready to go with all this. And then, there's been like a little hiccup, but this take action to me feels like this Fool energy of take action, of like, just focus on what you can do right now. God doesn't reveal everything to us right away. We don't get all the steps right away. We don't get the whole plan right away. We just get like these little things that we're supposed to show. They're supposed to show us like one thing at a time of what we're supposed to do. So this taking action can be about like, what's the next right action you can take today, right now, and not overthinking it and not demanding and not like, this take action card, it can really just be about just doing one small right thing at a time, just going at the pace that feels right for you. And just, controlling what you can control and going at the pace and doing the things that you can do for yourself is very much the energy of the take action card. And then the last card we have is the Outlaw. So I love this. So I feel like group one, I feel like group one, the Outlaw, this card is to me really about like, if you are someone who doesn't have a life that follows like the normal straightforward path or the normal trail or the normal whatever, then of course it's not going to be like this straightforward plan of this is what I'm going to do, right? If you have, there's a lot of things, if you want like a life that's miraculous and extraordinary, then you have to be willing to be patient and like these miracles and these things coming together can take a little bit more time than just the straightforward path with everything. So if you are an outlaw in your heart and your soul, if you know that, like you don't want the traditional life or the life that everyone can understand or that everyone ascribes to or wants to have, this is just remembering that, this really is about trusting, a different path, trusting if you have to go a different way, trusting if things unfold a way that you thought weren't going to be the way they were going to unfold, but just knowing that, again, like things unfolding for you in a way that you didn't think was how you thought doesn't mean something's not happening, right? So just trusting that the outlaw can be a gift for you to go in a different way than what your ego attachments have been for this whole time. Okay, and I'm going to close with one little card for you, one little oracle affirmation. Deep inner knowing. Okay, so I feel like this is just it's really beautiful, and this card is just a good reminder that when you really get still, when you really quiet your ego attachments and you really let go of like it has to be this exact way, right? We know in our hearts that God loves us, that God is protecting us, that God's plan is sovereign. And when we really know that, we know that everything is unfolding in His highest good. And it's just for us to quiet our minds and quiet our ego attachments and quiet our abandonment and quiet our whatever, all of that, to be able to get to that place. So this deep inner knowing is about, trusting and letting go and allowing, allowing those things to come through for you and allowing that deep inner knowing that we are fully protected to come through. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 2. So as a reminder, this is a full moon reading. So I will be reading the cards in that way in terms of releasing, letting things go, maybe things you can detach your energy from, all of that. So group 2, you all pick the card. I honor my self-worth by asking for what I want. Wow, what a beautiful affirmation. Okay, so this really, I feel like if, there's a difference between being humble and playing small. And being humble can be, when you ask yourself, am I doing this because I actually want it? Or am I doing this because it feels right in my heart? Or am I not doing it because I don't feel I'm worthy, because I don't feel I deserve it, because I don't feel, any and all of that. So I honor my self-worth by asking for what I want. That really means, your self-esteem comes from knowing who you are and honoring that, right? Self-esteem comes from esteemable acts. And so when you honor your self-worth, that means you say, okay, well, I know I have my needs and I have, what feels good to me. And I know I have, I'm not just this doormat for everyone to walk all over. So I do have my needs and I do have these things in my life that feel resonant, and I can feel the ways I deserve to be respected and the ways I deserve to be treated. And when you do all of that, it's like when you have that self-worth and you say, I'm worthy of being respected, of having my needs met, of having needs, not controlling and not demanding and not whatever, but, these basic levels of ways we want to be taken care of. It's like I honor my self-worth by asking for what I want. This really, is a reminder that when you really cherish and honor yourself, you're worthy of having your needs met. You're worthy of saying, well, I want this thing, so I'm going to try and make it happen for myself, because who am I not to allow that? Who am I not to allow these things to come into my life, to have these moments that feel good, to have these places, these ways that I honor myself. So I honor my self-worth by asking for what I want. It's a really good affirmation. Even just with this full moon, you can say, what are some ways that I'm playing small, but I tell myself like, oh no, I'm being humble, I'm doing the right thing, I'm whatever, right? So what are some ways that you really can honor your self-worth and set a boundary, or ask for what you want, or get clear about, this is what I want, this is what feels good for me, this doesn't, right? So I honor my self-worth by asking for what I want can really be about, showing up for yourself, honoring yourself, just trusting these things that you feel called to ask for in your heart are there for a reason. Okay, I'm going to look at your tarot, and then we'll look at your affirmation card or your oracle cards. Okay, so opening, we have 4 of Pentacles, to the Hierophant, to the Wheel of Fortune, to the 7 of Cups, 10 of Cups, 6 of Cups. Okay, you might be a water sign because we have 3 cups here, 3 cup cards, and water signs are represented by the cups. If you're not, don't worry about it too much, but that's there. And then also we have 2 major arcanas, and then this lovely 4 of Pentacles to start your reading. So I feel like, so the 4 of Pentacles comes out when, you know, the heart chakra is closed down. Our heart chakra is closed off, our heart energy is closed off, we don't feel worthy, we don't feel connected, we don't feel like, you know, I deserve these things, or, you know, it could be you've been wounded in the past, or you didn't think you were worthy, or you didn't deserve, or whatever. All that is represented with this 4 of Pentacles. So this is like a really blocked heart space. This is, you know, trying to hoard things, trying to keep them closed, trying to just not feel like, you know, like you don't feel like you can open or allow things into your life freely. And, you know, just really and so when you do that, you know, just going back to the self-worth card, some of that can be, you know, like, okay, well, I'm going to close my heart, and so I don't deserve things. And so then you don't, it's a cycle, you know, like I don't feel worthy, so I'm not going to ask for it. So then that contributes to me not feeling worthy even more. So then, you know, it keeps going and going and going. So this 4 of Pentacles is really about, you know, really honoring where you are and really trusting that, you know, you can protect yourself, and you can put some walls up, and you can, you know, take some time for yourself to soothe your heart, but you don't need to, when you don't heal your heart or open your heart up by pretending like you don't have one, right? If you need to take a little space, you need to do a little bit of this, a little bit of care, it's totally fine. I get it. We all go through phases like that. But where you stay there forever, that's where it gets harmful for you. That's where it gets damaging. That's where it gets just like not, you know, not in your best interest to be able to do that. But then, so then we have the Hierophant. And so I think one way you can start to unblock this heart, to open it, to release it, you know, maybe you've been, again, wounded, betrayed. I'm not denying any of that. I'm not like minimizing that, right? But this Hierophant energy is really about, to me, it always represents going back to the basics. It represents traditional things. It represents one thing at a time. It represents just moving at a pace that's a little bit, you know, it's just simple, just doing these simple things over and over again. So if we go through a lot of cycles in life, we can think, okay, what's the next secret thing for me to uncover? What's the, you know, what's the thing that's going to finally fix things for me? Or what's it going to be? Or what's this? And the truth is there isn't one, you know, it's just, there's these simple spiritual tools we have, and we keep using them over and over. And in life is full of hardship. And when we go through those hardships, it's just about using these tools over and over to like keep processing, keep taking care of ourselves, keep moving forward, and then doing that again and again until we get to the other side. So this isn't about, you know, there's not some magical thing that you can quick fix your way through life and then you never feel upset in your heart, it will never be whatever again. You know, it's like you're still responsible for your pain, for healing yourself, for all of that. Not responsible in terms of it was your fault, but you are responsible for your healing process, for moving forward, for having things be different. And just knowing that, you know, this Hierophant card is really about just going back to basics, doing really simple things, really traditional things, you know, just like sometimes we can overlook these basic maintenance things of our own energy. So like praying, meditating, going for a walk, journaling, reading a spiritual text, you know, anything that feels like it's too simple or too like that's not going to do anything, that's usually a sign that that's something for you to be focusing on and connecting to, because it can be for your highest good. So the Hierophant, again, is just a reminder, go back to the basics, just, you know, really honor yourself and really trust the ways that you can use some of these like tools again to really, you know, realign your energy to some of these things. Because when you do that, we have the Wheel of Fortune. And so the Wheel of Fortune is about fated changes. It's about things moving forward. It's about, you know, things start picking up and moving at a new pace. And so I feel like what I'm really getting from these cards is, you know, when you take your focus off of like, I need this thing to happen, or I need to be this, or I need to do that, instead put it on yourself, which is the only thing we can control is ourselves. The only thing we can be responsible for is ourselves. When you take that energy off these outside circumstances, or off, you know, this thing that hurt you, or this thing that betrayed you, or this thing you went through, and not in a way that's spiritually bypassing, right? But there is a fine line of, you know, processing it versus like, okay, now it's time for me to move forward with my life, right? So when you have this Wheel of Fortune card, This can be a reminder that it is time for fated changes, and things will start moving when you're not totally focused on them, right? It's like that saying, a watch pot never boils, right? When you are willing to let things go, to just kind of trust that things are moving forward for you, that's when things start to change, and that's when things will happen. Instead of putting all your focus on like, where is it, where is it, where is it? And, you know, the strong message I'm getting is putting this energy back on yourself. And again, really connecting to the self-worth of like, not just asking for what you want in terms of extra things, but asking for what you want in terms of like, do you need to sleep more? Do you need to go for a walk more? Do you need to give yourself more of your own time and energy and all of that? Like all of these things coming together is really what I'm hearing. Like just taking care of the basics of taking care of yourself again. It's really what's going on. Because then look at this. Then we have the 7 of Cups, which is, I mean, just look at all these beautiful cups energy together. 7 of Cups to the 10 of Cups to the 6 of Cups. So, and and then all of these also have blue in the background, which, you know, is throat chakra. So I think, you know, again, asking for what you want. When you ask for what you want, when you activate that and do all that, that leads to all this abundance, right? So that 7 of Cups is about options. It's about having choices. It's about like, oh, wow, there's so many things I can do for myself. It's just sometimes when we have this blocked heart center, we don't even realize the things that we're like not letting ourselves connect to because we're so focused on, oh, well, it should have been this way, or this thing should have happened instead of that, or this person should have never done that, or, you know, whatever. And I've been there, so I get it. It's annoying. Okay, no, it's not just like, oh, I'm over it. You know, it's like there is a healing process. But what can come when you start to take these steps forward and move in that way and ask for what you want is you see, oh, there are a lot of options. There are a lot of people who do want to support me, who do want to help me, who do want to help me get to that next layer and that next level. And again, the 7 of Cups does represent options. It represents a lot of things happening for you and moving forward in that way, which results in this beautiful 10 of Cups. So 10 of Cups can be about like physical reality abundance, but because Cups is a suit of emotions, to me, it represents emotional fulfillment. So I think you will start to feel better. You will start to unblock this heart chakra. You will start to just, you know, connect to that peace within yourself again. And that's what can happen with this 10 of Cups, of just trusting again that abundance to come into your life, just this emotional fulfillment when you listen to yourself, when you honor yourself, when you let these things kind of move through you and move in a way that, you know, again, just honors yourself. There's emotional fulfillment when you give yourself permission to listen to yourself, to hear these voices that are going on, hear what you want, hear what's going on in your mind and your body and your heart and your soul, all of that. Very, very resonant with this 10 of Cups. And then closing your reading, we have the 6 of Cups, which again, I feel like is more inner child fulfillment. So this 10 of Cups could be like, you know, fulfillment on the adult level. And then the 6 of Cups can be more representative of like, you know, my inner child feels safe. My inner child feels heard. My inner child feels loved. And so maybe some of this wounding or the heart blocking could be an old childhood wound that's coming up, or something that's coming up in a way that, you know, doesn't feel like the best thing or the easiest thing to deal with right now. It could be an old thing and you're like, wow, I thought I dealt with this, right? So this 6 of Cups can be about, you know, making, like giving that inner childhood fulfillment too. So inner child fulfillment too. And so this can just be a reminder too, that like you can do things that honor your inner child. So if your inner child like to be in nature, go be in nature. If they like to read, read. If they like to make art, you know. But just knowing that emotional fulfillment does come from making sure we have playfulness and lightheartedness going on in our life as well. And that's, again, a way to honor that is to, you know, allow this emotional fulfillment and allow, you know, asking for what you want can also be asking for, you know, letting your inner child speak sometimes too. It's an important part of having a healthy relationship with ourselves. Okay, and then I will look at your oracle cards. Oh my God. So what was I saying? So this is the golden children, inner child, tenderness, innocence, rare gifts. I was just talking about your inner child. Okay. So this is again, just about, you know, just remembering, like, even just when you move forward and when you do these things, like honoring your inner child includes like this card, tenderness, you know, just being compassionate to yourself, being loving to yourself, being kind to yourself, not forcing yourself or demanding yourself, like, I need to act in this way and do this exact thing and do blah, 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 whatever, because it needs to be this exact way, right? This is about, remembering that all of us have a precious inner child in front of us, inside of us. And so if we can be tender and kind to them, then that inner child can connect us with so much creativity and playfulness and laughter and fun. But the way we do that is by honoring that child in us and honoring that ways, and knowing that, our inner child feels safe to connect with us when we create safety with them as well. So offering some kindness and lovingness and compassion to yourself too. And then we have soul work. So I feel like that was a big vibe of this reading for group 2, a lot of soul work here. Bees might be a sign for you. And there's like a faint rainbow in the back. Maybe you can kind of see it right up here. But the soul work card, again, is about just knowing that these things are moving forward for you. And it is important for you to be able to, go on that journey with your soul, and like go on, this inner child, and listening to what you want and asking what your soul wants. The soul has this desire to know itself. The soul has a desire to grow, to expand. And so if you keep pushing that down and pushing it away, it's just going to get louder. You're going to have to deal with it eventually, right? Okay, so soul work, again, is about, how can you show up for yourself? How can you take these things and move forward? How can you allow these things in your life to be able to let your soul grow and transform in the ways that it's asking to, even if, it feels crazy, or like, I don't know the basic ways to do this, and the other thing, okay, I just got one last message, right? I was about to move on. This Hierophant energy and with soul work is like, sometimes the ego, like doing these repetitive actions, right? Like praying every day, going for a walk every day, journaling every day, whatever your toolkit is, that communicates to your soul nourishment, and it builds like a softness and a gentleness, and it wears away some of this hardness of this 4 of Pentacles. Okay, so when you do this soul work over and over again, you're communicating to your soul, like, you're worthy and I love you, and I'm going to keep offering these like nourishing gifts to you. And, part of the soul work is doing some of these mundane, like tedious day-to-day tasks over and over and over again, and trusting that they are transforming your heart, they're transforming your soul, they're making you softer, they're making you more open with that. And then we have abundance as your final card. So I feel like this is just, again, a good reminder that you can have emotional fulfillment, and that does come from abundance, and that does come from honoring yourself and knowing, what looks like a situation where there isn't abundance, right? So if you've been looking at, I can't ask for what I want, or I can't have what I want, or I can't whatever, if you can instead look at it from this place of like, I can, and I can ask for it, and there is abundance in this realm, there are things for me to move forward and to do in this way, this abundance card can just remind you, it is healthy to trust that there can be a way out. These things can change. We don't live in lack. And like when we close our hearts, we're just hurting ourselves the most, because we're cutting off that stream of like God's love of abundance to ourselves, instead of, anything we think we're protecting ourselves from. And so I'm going to pick one last card for you, one last little affirmation guidance card for you, group 2, to close your reading. Magic is in the air. Okay, so again, I feel like don't downplay your abilities, don't downplay what's possible for you, don't downplay that there are a lot of options for you, that this wheel of fortune is moving, that things are happening. Like, just because we don't have any proof in physical reality right now doesn't mean that, we need to fly forward into the next thing over and over and over again. Just having faith and trusting that. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day and happy full moon. Hi everyone, welcome. This is for everyone who picked group number 3. So as a reminder, this is a full moon reading. So I will be reading the cards in that way, in terms of letting things go, releasing things. Okay, so group 3, you all picked I bring peace with me wherever I go. So beautiful, beautiful affirmation and reminder. Okay, so this is, a reminder that we don't get to control our outer state, but we can control our inner state. And no matter what we're going through, no matter how painful things feel inside, we do have a choice for how we're showing up. What I try to do every day is, no matter what I'm feeling, no matter what's going on, when I go out into the world, when I interact with other people, I try to turn inward into myself and pull up some compassion and kindness and non-judgment to offer to everyone I'm going to interact with that day, right? Peace is something that starts with ourselves, and that includes, not being like this emotional tornado of a person who's just like spewing my emotions onto everyone I come into contact with. So I bring peace with me wherever I go. It's just a reminder that you are capable of doing that. You can let things, unfold in that way. You can be peaceful. You can connect to that. You can set that intention in the morning and connect to God and just kind of allow that peaceful energy to flow with you, and just let it, go with you wherever you're going. So bringing peace with you wherever you go does include, really honoring yourself and really just, again, connecting to that energy and connecting to that peace, and just allowing these things to not dictate. We always have a choice of how we're acting, what we're saying, how we're saying it, just connecting, making sure peace is a priority, and so moving forward in that way. So bringing peace with us wherever we go. Okay, I'm going to look at your tarot, and then I'll look at your oracle cards. Okay, so we have 5 of Pentacles, the Empress, 9 of Wands, Temperance, King of Cups, and 7 of Wands. Okay, so I feel like, yeah, there is some struggle bus here for you, group 3, of between choosing peace and certain circumstances going on outside of you, because we have every 2 cards is like a card of a hard time, and then like some peaceful, loving, nurturing energy. So maybe you've been flip-flopping between like, cultivating peace and kindness within yourself, and like finding peace amidst like hard external circumstances. And if so, then, we'll explore it a little more, but that's the big vibe I'm getting from this. So first we have the 5 of Pentacles into the Empress. So 5 of Pentacles, I think this is about being left out in the cold. This is energy of feeling like you're forgotten about, or God forgot about you, or this thing that you want is never going to happen, or this other thing is never going to happen. And, just really honoring, like, that's okay. That's okay to feel like that. It's like not pretending you don't feel that isn't going to help anyone. And so this 5 of Pentacles energy, maybe you need to give yourself some permission. Sometimes we can't let a feeling go or let a story go until we've given ourselves permission to really like feel it, and really be annoyed, and really just like feel the emotion all the way, right? Until you have to feel it to heal it, right? So can you let these things go? Can you let some of this energy go? Can you let this feeling of feeling totally abandoned? Like, part of what can happen is like first recognizing that, and then being like, okay, how can I tell myself that I have not abandoned myself? How can I show myself that I have not abandoned myself, right? So this 5 of Pentacles is really energy about like, not leaving yourself out in the cold, continuing to show up for yourself, continuing to be there for yourself, and just bringing yourself back in, basically. And like, can you offer some love and compassion for yourself in that way, through this card? And you do that by this Empress energy. Is this backwards? Okay, so the Empress energy is really about nurturing. It's about maternal care. It's about like a lot of tenderness, a lot of kindness, a lot of like divine feminine energy, regardless of your gender, right? But just a lot of this nurturing, gentle energy of just saying, like, that's okay. I'm not leaving you. I'm here with you. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to show up for you, right? All of that energy. So with this full moon, just, you want to ask yourself, like, what am I holding on to that maybe I can let things go? Or what things am I feeling like, this is where I'm totally abandoned? And it's like, well, how can I offer myself, even if you are abandoned by everyone besides you and God, how can I offer myself some compassion and soothing and loving energy around that, no matter what is going on in like my physical reality, and these things that I can't control within myself, right? So what is going on with that energy? And then we have, and then once you do that, so this is really interesting. So once you do that, we'll get into this 9 of Wands, where you might be like, okay, maybe I can trust a little bit. Maybe I can take my blindfold off and see all these things that I thought were going on. I see, I just got a lot. Okay, so this and the 7 of Wands, both of these, do you see? It's about like internal conflict, because there's no one on these cards except this one person. So this is really a card about like how can you see the ways you've been telling yourself these stories in a way that are more extreme than what's happening? And again, not downplaying anything, but sometimes, when we are in this learned helpless place, when we're in the emotional pain body, we can get into this place of just like, everything's against me, nothing's going right, all this stuff is going wrong, these really, really intense feelings. And actually, you take the blindfold off and you look around and it's just some wands. There's not really that much happening besides that, so again, not to downplay anything, but so can you just kind of pull yourself back in from the cold with some love and care? And then next is going to be looking at, okay, what are these stories that are going on and how can I move through them one by one in a way that gives myself some love and compassion and some honoring energy there. What can I do with that, and how can I kind of move through that? And again, this temperance energy, it's really about being loving, being about being gentle, being about nurturing, offering some softness, offering some soothing energy to yourself with that. So maybe you go through these stories, and with this full moon you say, okay, maybe my story is like, I don't know, I can't think of an example. My story is, I will never, I've never gotten anything that I wanted. Okay, that's not true. Like that can feel really true when we're actuated from our ego, which is like, totally get it. But this is really about, how can you honor that? How can you soothe that? How can you give yourself some love and compassion and care and kindness around that? To be able to see that's not true. How can you soften some of those stories a little bit? How can you offer yourself a little bit more understanding and kindness around those things is really what I'm hearing. So just using this full moon to tap into that energy, to be able to honor that within yourself. All of that is very, very, very clearly written here. Because then we have the King of Cups. Love a good King of Cups. Okay, this is very much about like emotional intelligence. It's about, again, like bringing peace with you wherever you go. I love the King of Cups imagery. Just, we see this person, this king on the throne, and then in the background, the seas are very tumultuous. The boat's about to flip over. This fish is like FML, what's going on, right? So this King of Cups is really about like staying emotionally centered, staying like emotionally taken care of, and really honoring, the ways that you can show up for yourself in this loving way, in this King of Cups way, like having emotional intelligence, knowing how to self-soothe, knowing how to stay with yourself, choosing to do all of that, even amidst, again, the Seven of Wands, this internal conflict, right? So sometimes when we sort through things, you've ever heard the saying, like pain is the touchstone of progress, because when we actually look at our pain, it feels worse because we're holding it and we're saying, okay, this is the story I'm telling myself. How is this true or not true? How is this or that, So this Seven of Wands is really about, you see like person in two different shoes and everything's confusing and what's going on and so this energy is really about, can you self-soothe? Can you stay with yourself even through these confusing, challenging, conflicting times? Can you be willing to show up for yourself, to like sit with these emotions that don't feel the best, that like no one likes to sit with these situations when they happen for us, but can you have this self-soothing? Can you practice that? Can you practice holding space for yourself and giving yourself like a lot of love and care, and giving yourself, a lot of these things to be able to move forward in these ways, and just really, honoring that peace that we all have within ourselves. And peace can coexist with these other things. You don't have to feel like all your problems are solved or there's no emotional things to work through, while you are connecting to peace. Peace can exist. You can bring peace with you wherever you go, and this thing can exist at the same time. So it doesn't have to be, one or the other. It doesn't have to be like this total end all be all of like, well, I don't feel peace, so time to just snap into like emotional insanity. It can be a little bit of both of these things for you going on. Okay, I'm going to look at your oracle cards now. This is exactly what I was talking about. That's the whole theme of your reading. So water your garden, nourishment, body care, tenderness, rest. So again, exactly what I was talking about, of just like, this beautiful Empress energy, this beautiful Temperance energy, this beautiful King of Cups energy, right? So just I see a lot of water, a lot of nourishment, a lot of like honoring yourself, a lot of letting these things flow over you, letting these things really, letting yourself be taken care of by yourself. It takes a lot to, so many of us can put so much love and care and compassion for so many people in our lives, but we can't do it for ourselves, or we choose not to do it for ourselves. So this is really, water your garden. That's your inner garden, your inner sanctuary, giving yourself nourishment. If you need time to rest, if you need time to like not go 100 miles per hour with all these things, you know, just really doing that, taking care of your body, letting your body, you know, tell you what it needs. And it could be, you know, nourishing through certain foods, you know, doing yoga, going for a walk, taking a bath. I mean, anything that feels gentle and loving and kind to you is really what you want to focus on with this energy of, you know, watering your garden in like a really loving, compassionate way. Because then we have the card power, which of course is, you know, reminding you of your own power. And this doesn't mean that like, you know, you're all powerful against like ever feeling a bad feeling or being low vibrational or whatever, any of that bullshit. Okay. This is just a reminder that you do have power of getting through something and soothing yourself and getting it to the other side. You always have that power, no matter what it's looked like in physical reality up until that point. So this is a reminder, you do have power, you do have ways you can show up for yourself and take care of yourself, and just, you know, not giving away your personal power. And sometimes owning your power means being nourishing and gentle and kind to yourself. Doesn't mean go run out and take a million actions and do a million things and change all this stuff, right? Power can mean I'm going to take my power back and give myself all the love, nourishing care that I didn't get in all these other places. So power definitely can be, you know, a lot of this, the ways you reclaim how you speak to yourself, how you take care of yourself, how you show up for yourself. All of that can be power, like all connected into one thing. And then we have this beautiful card to close your reading. It's up to you. So again, just remember that like you get to decide how nourishing you want to be. You get to decide how you speak to yourself, how you show up for yourself, how you do, you know, any and all of that. It's up to you. It's just a reminder that like, you know, you're not responsible for your life circumstances or things that come at you, but you are responsible for, you know, what you say yes to, what you allow, what you don't allow, like in terms of speaking to yourself, in terms of your relationship with yourself. So it's up to you. Again, I bring peace with me wherever I go. You have a choice how you show up in your day-to-day life. Not, you know, not all the way, because I get it. The mental health is real. Certain things are going on that we can't control, but you do have a choice if you show up with non-judgment and compassion for yourself, despite everything else that can be going on or is going on for you. So I think group 3, you know, just giving yourself permission to let go of maybe some of these things of, well, this can't exist because this is happening, or this can't exist because this is happening, you know, and instead just being like, okay, what can I give myself permission to feel and heal and work through, and, you know, all of that, instead of feeling like, oh, it has to be this exact way, it has to be this exact thing. You know, but instead just, you know, it's up to you what you allow, what you choose to focus on, what you choose to, how you choose to show up for yourself in your day-to-day life, despite your external circumstances. Okay, and then I'm going to close with one card pulled for you. Just one last message. Okay, we have, this card flew out of the deck. We have begin again. Beautiful. So again, just a reminder that, you know, sometimes we think, well, I've made it this far in life and I have this thing's happening for me and this thing feels really good and whatever, so I'm never gonna have to deal with any hardship ever again, right? That's not true. Begin again can be, you know, just giving yourself some love, compassion, nurturing energy. We're always going to go through these cycles in life. We're always going to have to redo things over and over again. We're always going to have to do all that. So begin again can just be about, you know, go back to the basics, go back to this gentle energy, one day at a time. Even it could just be starting one thing at a time, moving one thing at a time, just, you know, bringing peace with us wherever we go means taking it one day at a time, beginning again when we feel we've gotten off track, and just, you know, offering ourselves that love and compassion and kindness that we know really can soothe us. You know, just knowing we can start over whenever we want. We can energetically reset whenever we feel we need it. Okay, that's everything I have for you. I hope this served you. If you want any more information about me, all that's linked below. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day and happy full moon.